Hello friends, welcome back to Aora. Today, Tamwen is finally ready to take her new little gaggle of traveling companions.
Hello.
And set out for Caed Nua to talk to this watcher, Merwald, and see if she can find out a little bit more about her new powers as a watcher. First, we're going to have a little free rest at the inn, because we got a little banged up at the Temple of Aethys last time. Now, in order to get to Caed Nua, we're going to have to cut through the Black Meadow to the east of here. That's a map we didn't entirely complete, so we're going to go ahead and do that today. We are going to want a different formation, though, because normally, I have our scouting formation, this one with Tamwen out front, but there aren't going to be any traps in the Black Meadow, so I want to make sure that everybody is in the order that I want them to be in when combat starts. So that is basically Adair out front. And then actually maybe these guys a little closer up. And then I want our little squishies, Aloth and Tamwen, all the way at the back. So that's going to be our formation for exploring this part of the wilderness. Nobody in this group is particularly sorry to see the back of Gilded Vale. Adair has lots of reasons to hate it. He's been here a long time. And then our newcomers are not really impressed with the current status of the town. So far, Tamwen's getting along all right with her various traveling companions. She hasn't told them a lot about herself. She occasionally asks questions about them to see how she can better use them, but she mostly thinks of them as tools and not as people. So she's not really interested in sharing her own personal details with them. So there's the bandit camp where we found the supplies for the Black Hammer smithery. Still not convinced that's a word. But we're encountering a new enemy down here that requires a little bit of explanation. There is some lore throughout the game that tells you about these guys, but the short version of the story is these were Hollowborn babies that were the recipients of an experimental treatment that put animal souls into these babies. The problem was that if they tried to put a human soul into a soulless baby, it would take over, and it would that baby would become this other person, which was not what parents were really looking for. So they thought maybe if they put an animal soul in there, that it could sort of adapt, and then it seemed to work at first, but then when the kids started to hit puberty, instead of going through the usual changes, they grew fangs and claws and became weird undead type creatures called Wichts, which are very easy to kill with one holy radiance from Durance. As a group, that'll often just knock them all out like we saw just then. But it is kind of a terrible story, and it sort of gives a hint of the desperation that these parents were feeling in trying to find some sort of cure for their Hollowborn children. And that was Animancer's attempt to cure these children, and they called it the Salvation at first because the kids could, feed themselves more or less. They could move around on their own. They seemed like they were turning into something closer to normal children. But as time went on, terrible things happened, and so now the term salvation is used only with the deepest, most bitter irony when referring to that. And you'll see it brought up occasionally again in the game, but yeah, when you see Wichts, those are children that were, let us say, released by their parents or escaped once they reached that state. And now they just wander the wilderness looking for people to, well, eat, more or less. The Black Meadow has a lot of sort of burned areas that I'm not sure if they're thoroughly explained. I don't know if this is from the War of Black Trees or if this is some other source of burnination. If I ever find out, I will of course let you know. Let's flank this forest troll because it's a little bit on the tough side. And we'll knock him down. We'll just use all our tricks here. We'll use interdiction. Tamwen just used her blinding shot, I think, yes. And I think auto attacks should take care of it from here. Troll skin. Yum. I probably don't even really need to use stealth through here. With Adara leading the way, if we run into anything, hopefully they will attack him first. Blood moss, picking up our little goodies for enchanting and so forth. Just go ahead and use everybody's everything at once. Trolls are not by far the most difficult enemies that we're going to run into in this game, but at this stage they're among the more difficult. Luani, why don't you come around and flank in your giant boar form? Isn't she amazing? I love Druid. Luani is not going to have a very large role in this story since she is just my little handmade temporary companion. But in one of my other games, she is the Watcher. She is a largely... Her main personality traits are benevolent and diplomatic. She's sort of an adventuring type, an explorer, but also just extremely kind-hearted. And I enjoy her, but she's not even one of my top 3 favorite watchers. I have a lot of different watchers and I love them all. Tamwen here is my second favorite. Yes, I saw Durance getting hurt. Did I care? No, I didn't care. A little campsite here. A spare bedroll is laid out in this tent, but there's no other sign of kith. You remember what kith means, right? In the context of... Let's see, that's a Nature's Mark. That's a druid spell. I'm going to go ahead and give that... You can give scrolls to anybody who has enough lore to use them, But I like to give them to the people who you know, it's their class spell, because then I remember, it's just easier for me to remember who has what scroll to use in battle, and they basically just become sort of like semi-free casts of spells that you would otherwise have to use, you know, one of your limited per rest counts of that spell. Who needs minor regeneration? I don't know. I'll give that to Durance. Why not? A dead adventurer. If we weren't quite so careful and skilled, that could be us. With me not stealthing through here, this may actually end up being a pretty short video because I know exactly where I'm going to end it. And it is at the beginning of the next screen. Oh, Tamwen's having a vision of a woman writhing on a rack again. That seems to be a common thing around here in the Deerwood. What a lovely place with a lovely history. Alright, everybody, just charge on in. Luani, let's do your pig flanking thing. Alright, more troll skin. This may partially explain some of the burnination. The bones feel as hard as stone, yet surprisingly light. These are, of course, dragon bones. You can probably tell by the arrangement and the shape of them. So there are a lot of dragon bones scattered throughout this area. And I know there's a story behind that, but I can't remember exactly what it is. Field mice scatter, crawling between the beast's teeth. There's sort of an interesting thing up this way, at least lore-wise. But first, we're gonna fight 2 trolls. And we'll start off with an interdiction, pretty much like always. Once again, get our flanking going on. Oops, Luani got trapped. So Adair, you're going to have to provide the flanking. Oh my gosh, these controls are so hard to get just right. Oh, Luani's in trouble. Let's knock this guy down, and then we can help Luani with a restore light endurance. I'm not sure why that guy isn't showing as flanked. Oh wait, I thought that one was dead. It does not appear to be dead. Okay, here we go. Okay, no problem. 2 dead trolls. Contributing their skins to our stash. Now, somewhere up here is the little thing I was looking for. Well, yeah, it's behind these two forest lurkers. These are a type of primordial, which, if you recall from earlier, is basically it's a living, moving being that has about as much intelligence as plant life. Primordials in particular are interesting because they're just like a collection of plant organisms that have sort of banded together and begun to shuffle around. And the lore never says like specifically what they are. Why aren't you moving? Oh, she's stuck. I guess one of them has rooted her or something. Anyway, lore-wise, it is very possible that they were the remains of... Do you remember the dank spores that would feed on weak or dying people and suck their souls out? There's a lore theory that once the people have their souls sucked out and plant life starts to grow on them, that they turn into these things. Fun. This is a harder battle than I was expecting. We lost Luani. So let's get some buffs on us, and let's... I believe fire is bad for these guys, so I'm gonna have Aloth get in a good position to do a fan of flames. You have to be careful because, see, I could hit Adair if I swing it too far that way, so I gotta aim just right. And there's not much Tamwen can do right now except just stand there and... Did I not do interdiction already? I thought I did. Aloth, what else you got? I'm going to try paralyzing one of these guys. It doesn't look like the AoE is going to hit anybody we care about. Thank you, Aloth. And now let's get a little healing in here. I don't know if that worked or not. Now, Luani would have any number of cool AoE spells I could use if she weren't dead. Well, unconscious, we'll say. Let's bless everyone. We need all the help we can get here, because these guys are just not wanting to die. What have I got? What have I got? Well, let's get your regeneration thing going. Did I not? I'm so bad with the controls today. Sorry, guys. I thought this was going to be a short video, but it may be that this battle takes up the entire time. Oh, they've got knockdowns too. I knocked that one down before he could knock me down. The other one, though, I think is going to get us. Let's do Minoleta's minor missiles. These guys are tough. Okay, they have a lot of piercing damage reduction. You can see in the tooltip there. And I think a lot of my guys are using piercing weapons, might be part of the problem. But they have a low resistance to fire damage, so I wish I had more fire to throw at them. Aloth, you want to just fan of flames at them again? Why not? Okay, we got one down.
Let's have it out!
Isilnir is... Oh, that was a spoiler. I pretend you didn't hear that. I thought Durance had at least one fire spell somewhere, but maybe not. Haha! Durance fell down. Oh, and he's not doing well. Let's withdraw him. He's going to cast Withdraw on himself, so that he doesn't actually die. I mean, I don't like him, but I don't want to perma-kill him. Come on.
Kind of stuck over.
Die, you nasty thing. So, trees and shrubs have grown up around these ancient bones, shrouding this monument to Galawain beneath their leaves. So this altar here, in addition to having something secret hidden inside it, Ray of Fire, that's a wizard spell. You can have that, Aloth. The rest of this can go in stash. Galawain is one of Eora's gods, and he is the god of the hunt and also of monsters, predators, wild beasts, the wilderness, that sort of thing. But he has various nicknames, as all the gods do. Father of Monsters is one of them. There is a legend that says that if you're a great enough hunter and you wander out into the woods before you die, that Galawain will take your soul and will turn you into the first of a new kind of predator, usually something kind of horrific, because that's his jam. But lore suggests that this may actually be true, because every so often people will find out in the wilderness of Eora bodies of hunters that have not been touched by wild beasts. They're just lying there and they've decayed peacefully away without a single wild beast consuming them. And that suggests that that particular soul was taken up by Galawain and the body was left alone by Galawain's predators. Fulvano's boots. We're still finding bits of Fulvano's gear around here. Who needs Constitution? Probably Tamwen. And I believe that's the last of our little enemy encounters. So we're going to head to Caed Nua, which is the next screen over. Let's switch our formation around so that Tamwen can take the lead again. No particular reason, just she's the leader. Just off the side of the path into Caed Nua stands an imposing figure, a tall, thick-set Almaua, clad in warm armor and peering up at the outer walls of the keep. In his hand is a small piece of charcoal, and it works feverishly at taking notes upon a small scrap of paper. More than once, he has to reach up to prevent his colorful cap from falling off his head as he gazes upwards. Tamwen says, "That moldy brickwork must be fascinating." The man looks over at you, blinking in surprise. His face splits in a wide and very toothy grin, and he waves the parchment in greeting.
It is. Well, not the wall itself, perhaps. The construction is very traditional. There are names scratched upon some of the bricks, just there. Workers and masons, I expect, carving a little immortality for themselves. It's a fine keep, Caed Nua. 2 centuries to its name, and abandoned for nearly as long. But the truly interesting part is in there. and I haven't had much luck in reaching the keep itself. I hoped to find the master of this place, a man by the name of Merwald, but it seems that he either holds his privacy most dear, or else has been devoured by his house guests.
Why haven't you gone inside? Well, it's just that there are a great many dangerous creatures between the keep and I. I did make an attempt, of course, and I was chased away by dark spirits. What do you want from Merwald?
Knowledge. Or, to be less clever about it, a certain text. I've come in search of a great treasure, you see. Not gold or silver, but the Tanvi Oratoa. You might call it the Book of Virtues. It's a sacred text of Rauatai, but we possess only a small fragment of it.
A year I've journeyed in search of the rest, and I found evidence suggesting that the original lies there, beneath the keep. I want to ask Merwald if he knows of it. And you, my friend, why are you here? No particular reason. A wandering traveler, then. You have good taste in scenery. It's to my benefit. Perhaps you would consider traveling with me. I'm sure we could reach the keep without trouble together. Well, let's go meet Merwald, then.
Excellent. Lead on, my friend, and I will be at your heels. Ah, wait. Speaking of that, I ought to warn you first. Wondrous teeth, I nearly forgot. I have, at times, been followed. It began in Adir, and in Exometal they attacked outright. I believe they do not wish for me to find what I am looking for. I say believe, but I have been told as much by one of my would-be assassins. I pay them little mind. Humorless sorts in long robes. But it's why I bought the sword, you see. And it's only fair that you should know.
Oh, what are a few assassins between friends?
I'm glad you're not discouraged. Come then. Who knows what we will find inside?
Who knows? So we have just acquired a new companion. He is an Almaua by the name of Kana, and he is a new class that we haven't seen before called a Chanter. I'm going to be giving him lore. That's sort of in character for a Chanter. They're a little bit like bards in a way. They're storytellers. They kind of chant or sing to provide buffs and things for the party. And they can also use scrolls. Well, anyone can, like I said, but it's very in character for a Chanter to use scrolls. So I'm going to be giving him a lot of lore. So he has two different types of things. He has chants that are just like ongoing buffs that can overlap with each other, a little bit like the bard spells from EverQuest, if anyone remembers playing a bard in EverQuest, if you're ancient like me. And then he has invocations, which are more like the types of spells we see in other classes. You have to have chanted a certain number of phrases first, but then once you build up enough phrases, you can cast a spell that has, a one-time effect. My favorite are any of his summoning spells. This one summons a phantom to fight for the party, so I'm definitely choosing that one. Ancient Memory means that anybody near him will get some endurance regeneration while he's chanting. He is a ranged guy, so he's often not near our melee guys. He's often back shooting at things, at least the way I use him. But again, you can use him any way you want. You can have him use a sword or whatever. But his default weapon is sort of a gun thing. So, okay, so here's another phrase, and this is one of those ongoing things. None of these are particularly useful because they only affect enemies that are near him. And like I say, I usually keep him in the back shooting at things. But this one drains endurance from enemies steadily as he is chanting it. So I like that one because it's simple enough to understand. Let's give him a little bit more athletics because he's a big guy. Oh, Maua, they're huge. We get another invocation at this level. There aren't any more summons here, unfortunately. So I'm going to try this one. White worms writhed in the bellies of the dead. They all have these very poetic names. This one will cause an enemy to explode, expelling 3 white grubs that crush nearby enemies. That just sounds like fun. I don't know how often that will trigger, but could be fun. Beloved Spirits is just an improvement on Ancient Memory. Increases the endurance regeneration effect. So now, there he is, Kana, our level 4 Chanter. And he even has his ridiculous little hat. But see his big old gun? I'm not a weapons guy, so I don't know. It's called something weird, and I'll look it up for next time to sound smart. Arquebus? I don't know. I'll look it up so I can sound smarter next time. But yeah, that's all we're going to do today, because exploring Caed Nua and what has become of it in recent days is a whole thing in and of itself, so I want to save that for its own video. We don't have a lot of camping supplies left, but we desperately need a rest, so we are going to rest before taking on Caed Nua. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for tagging along.